Country roads take me home. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Oh, hello everybody. This is FSBN. And we got West Virginia on our mind, country roads, because it's Tuesday. March the 10th, 2026, free agent frenzy has begun, and the Jets have made a trade with your Las Vegas Raiders to acquire West Virginia's own Geno Smith to be the quarterback. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, in accordance with the two bums and one baby plan, the first bum has been acquired. So the plan is going exactly as we predicted. You love it when a plan comes together. So the Jets continue on their offseason quest to build a roster that could actually do something. And the biggest deal so far has been struck, and that includes none other than former Jet quarterback Geno Smith. So here we are. We got some people in the chat over here. Let's click this. We got Sajetti over here. We got Phil the Jet Adams over here. You know, Phil, we are going to have at the MetLife Stadium, we're going to need Country Roads sung by the entire fucking stadium. If Geno Smith can do well, of course. Just like they do over in England when we, the NFL, comes and plays at Tottenham Stadium or one of these other stadiums, okay? And the whole crowd sings American songs. It's amazing. They sing Country Roads and Sweet Home Alabama and other things. So we're going to have to do it now because part of acquiring these players is figuring out what theme songs they come with. What do you think about that, Phil? The plan is coming together. That's right, JoJo. JoJo's here. The plan is coming together nicely. Once I figured it out, now we'll have to see if... So I said on X, that part of the plan 1A has happened. Now we need 1B to happen as well. But we also have some sad news. Running back Matt Snell, you may remember him, an integral member of the Super Bowl III championship team and Ring of Honor inductee, has passed away at age 84. So, unfortunately, Mr. Matt Snell, some of you older people may remember him. That's before my time. But apparently, Mr. Snell no longer with us, and so that's a sad item to pass along as we're dealing with a free agent frenzy. So the team is really starting to come along. But the big news of the day, of course, Geno. Sachetti, first bum on the books. Right, Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is a member of the Inner Circle. You could be a member of the Inner Circle if you click the join button down below. And if you're new here and you want to subscribe, that's absolutely free. Click the subscribe button down below. And that helps you get into some of these live streams where you can actually comment on things. Just like old Swamp Thing over here. Tuesday, Newsday. Yep, we got a lot of news. Kel says something about the 1960s. I don't think anything about the 1960s is worth thinking about. Madison Keenan is here. Says, could be worse than Geno. Your plan is coming to... Yeah, at least we avoided Kyler. That's what could have been worse. I mean, I kind of think... See, this is why you have to really know how to discern and parse what the media is saying sometimes. I think Connor Hughes saying the Jets were really considering Kyler and, they had serious discussions. I kind of think that's a favor he's doing for Kyler's agent, Eric Burkhart. But I could be wrong. We'll never know. It's one of those things he can just say and nobody will ever know. So no skin off his neck. But it could have been worse. It could have been Kyler. So this is probably the best of the outcomes. If we get Wentz in here, or really it doesn't even matter who the second bum is. Punter trade. This is interesting. As of 10 seconds ago, Ian Rappaport, the Texans are trading for Saints punter Kai Kroger. You'll remember him because he was in camp with us last year. The teams are going to swap a 6th and 7th rounder in 2028. Huh. I wonder why. Well, Kai Kroger, he's making his way around, but what's his name? The sniper that we got beat him out. So interesting. But yeah, part 1A, and that's the most important part, was just get somebody in here who can install the offense and can maybe keep things on track to a certain degree. The Browns have signed former Packers guard center Elton Jenkins to a 2-year deal. That is for worth $24 million. That was somebody I thought the Jets could target. Goes to the Browns. They desperately need offensive linemen, and they're signing them very quickly to beef up their line. They really had nothing at the end of the year. Why not Geno by Dexy's Midnight Runners? Because that's too obscure. First of all, Country Roads is an amazing sing-along song, Phil. That's a great song. That is a sing-along song that an entire stadium can sing. And Geno went to West Virginia. That's the key to it. You're going to get all, if you're going to get all obscure, this is not going to work. Plus, you need a sing-along song. Country Roads is probably the best sing-along song out there. Great song. Ike Karate's talking about the red rifle. No, I don't think so. I'm looking at the Jets. If so, nobody's reporting it yet. And plus, Andy Dalton, who is the red rifle, is still on the roster of the Panthers, as far as I know. I don't think they released him yet. So I'm not sure where this is coming from, but according to the news that I have, no. Meadowland Swamp Thing is using one of the emojis that he gets to use because he's a member of the inner circle. You could use these kind of emojis, but you got to pay $2 a month. And in addition, you get to hang out with SUNY New Paltz rugby legends, right? Like, not me, but Dodester, the Dodester, Alan Dodes. Braden's here and he's in the kayak. I mean, imagine, here's Braden. He's in the inner circle, but he's in a kayak as well. Can you believe it? Paddle safely. Yeah, that's an important point. Paddle safely out there, Braden. We don't want you to become fish food or shark food or whatever's in whatever body of water you happen to be in. Geno, 17 picks. We'd be lucky to win 4 games. James Thompson, did you watch the games? Or are you just looking at stats? How many times we got to tell you got to watch the games? Now, he did throw too many picks, that's for sure. And in his career, he throws generally too many picks. But did you see what type of team they had? Did you watch the games? Do you know what was going on? Kyler is better than Geno? Nope. You think we're keeping Sherwood? Yes. Baby, I'm back. Hall of Notes. Baby, I'm back. Yeah, but that could be good. But then after a while, he's already here. Kyler's a locker room cancer. So you don't really want him no matter what. Teammates hate him. He doesn't like football. He doesn't study film. He's a locker room cancer. I don't care what he does on the field. And he's not good on the field either. Let me look at something actually. I would say Kyler had 1 year better than Geno. Because if you think about Geno, he really has only had 4 seasons that you could evaluate. I mean, if you throw away the Jets time, right? He was a rookie. He was a different guy. But then after that, when he became a starter, he really has had only 4 seasons. And out of those 4 seasons, Kyler had one better season than he had in all those 4 seasons. So, but Kyler's just not worth it. He's a locker room cancer. It's not worth having. Because Sky Moore is joining the Packers. Because it doesn't matter. That's the whole point about the bums. If they play great, fine, but they don't need to. That's the whole point. You just want people who are going to get along with everybody, install the offense, and get out of the way. That's the beauty of the theory. So having a locker room cancer to do that, that's not a good idea. Yes, and I am also a SUNY New Paltz legend. That's right, for baseball, not for rugby. Phil Adams, that's what they're saying. This is one of those other things that I think Country Club Connor's lying about. I don't think so. If you look at that contract he got a massive contract, and it has per game bonuses of over $4 million. That's never happened in the whole history of the NFL, where a guy every game he plays he gets $4 million more. So I think he got a massive contract with huge incentives, and he said, "Well, that's a huge contract." I'm going to take that. I think Muji, what we've seen with him is he probably wants to price the guard spot at about 8 million because Elton Jenkins just went for 10. No, went for 12. And other people have gone for 10, like John Simpson went for 10. Elton Jenkins just went for 12. So I think we're getting an idea that Muji doesn't probably want to go more than 8 or 9. So that means ABT was out of our price range. Simpson, Jenkins. We're probably just waiting for someone to take our 8. And we probably think, probably rightly so, that we could get the same production for 8 as these people are paying 12 and 14 and 15 and more for. That's what we're learning from the actions. But it is true that Country Club Connor said that he and Simpson wanted a fresh start. I don't believe him. I heard out of Simpson's own mouth that he'd love to come back. So I think Country Club's lying about that. Because you got to understand that Country Club has to get a punch in once in a while. I mean, because then later he just put out this tweet saying the Jets have had an A+ off season. So, if he's being positive about the Jets, he's got to throw in some negative stuff. I mean, he can't go 100% positive. Thanks, Kel. I appreciate it. Anything that happened in the 1960s is not important. Thank you. Appreciate I appreciate the words. Whatever karate says. Medicine says heard Geno flip the bird. Yeah, you guys are getting this whole thing wrong. It doesn't matter what he does and doesn't do. You guys are thinking it's important what Geno Smith does here. As long as he operates the offense and gets along with people in the building and doesn't flip off our fans, uh, that's all he needs to do. It's 2 bums and a baby. It's not let's make Geno the center of our universe. He's coming here for $3 million. It's nothing. Yes, Kel, what happened in the 1960s is not important. Keep going, though. Tell me more, please. about the fucking 1960s. Here we are, 37 people in the chat room. We got a guy talking about the 1960s, man. What's going on with you guys today? Let me know what's going on with you guys today because this is not starting out too good. This is really not. The Jets were able to sign, in case you missed it, Nashawn Wright to add to their cornerback room. So that's good. But we still have holes. And then Geno's one of the bums here. So we got him. We decided to make a trade to keep him away from. Yeah, we don't need to talk about no 1960s, especially not for football. You know, it's the most irrelevant thing of all time. As we all know, the standard era for NFL football is 2011 onward. Anything before that is irrelevant. Now, what we've got here is a team rebuilding their roster, and we've done a lot on defense. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players, new players for the defense. And so far, only one on the offense. So we got some more work to do there. But like I was talking about, I think that Muji's coming in with an idea that he can get a guard for about $8 million, and he's not going to go above his number. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. You're funny, man. So what you're saying is that if I didn't know about the Nazis, I would become Hitler. Oh, my God. History repeats itself. There's a saying that history repeats itself. Don't you know anything, Frankie? My God. Don't you know that there's a saying that history repeats itself? Holy smokes. So that means if Fran Tarkenton played in the 60s, another Fran Tarkenton will play some other time in the future. Whoa! Wow! Holy cow! All right, we've had enough of this. We don't want to piss Frankie off too much these days, do we? All right, see you later, Kel. Okay, good. They got Geno at the right price. Yeah. We got him for the minimum. And I think that some people are apparently not happy with this because Zach Rosenblatt just put out a tweet 2 minutes ago. If Geno Smith signed with almost any other team, the reaction would have been positive. He was their best option. He's not a bad quarterback. They made the right move. So why is he putting out this tweet? He's not replying to anybody. So I think Zach, is feeling that maybe some of the fans don't like this move. Maybe some of the fans don't understand the two bums and a baby theory. I don't know. Metatrends Mark. Ski Pilot. Muji showing his prowess. Yeah, I mean, I think he's doing well. We had money to spend and we're spending it. And I definitely think that, yeah, we certainly could take a guard in the draft. I would prefer not to because then you're using up those picks. I mean, there's so many guards available that you can get decent play with for about $8 million. And you might as well do that. And then free up the picks. The Saints are signing Caden Ellis, 3-year deal, $33 million from the Falcons. So Falcons defense getting picked apart a little bit. So the Saints get Caden Ellis to come in. But, you know, I would rather just sign a guard and use those picks for wide receivers or edge players or defensive tackles and so forth. There's a lot of receivers in this draft, so if we didn't trade for or sign any wide receivers, I would understand that. The draft isn't particularly deep at guard, as far as I know. So, you know. Swamp Ranger says, I like how Muji flips these picks. Yeah, you might. It's a good way to use the late picks because the late picks are not going to provide value most likely anyway. So if you can use them to get a veteran who does provide value, why not? I mean, it's no good to really have 12 picks and 3 of them are seventh rounders. I mean, what are you going to do with a seventh round pick? Now, this year we might use the 6th round pick on a kicker, something like that. But for the most part, they're just, they're not going to be people that you can use. So why not use them to acquire talent that you can use? So it makes a lot of sense. Jojo says, I'm happy with the move, but seeing some negative posts. Well, I don't know what people could be negative about it. Like, it doesn't even matter. Even if he's the worst version of himself, it doesn't matter. In my opinion. Now, we're going to find out. We're going to sign a QB2, whoever it is, and those will be the 2 bums, whether it's Wentz or not. It doesn't really matter. So the 2 bums part is right. Now, we'll find out on draft day what the next move is. Like, so at pick 16, if they take Simpson, then you know that my theory's right. But if they don't, and they don't take any quarterbacks in the top 4 picks that we have, then you know that there's some other plan. But it's hard to imagine also that the Jets have any kind of plan involved for Geno. Other than, yeah, we're gonna try to, definitely gonna try to win with him when he's in there, and we're gonna put the best team around him that we can, and all of that. But in reality, I think the contract tells you the story. It's not like we extended his contract for 3 years or something, made a big commitment to him. I mean, he's on an El Cheapo deal. So if it works out and he balls out and we want to extend him, okay, good. But we're not expecting much. The contract tells you what the expectations are. And it's a tiny little contract, so. Skipilo, who's the best available guard now? Well, there's a bunch of them. Wyatt Teller's out there. Brady Christensen's out there. There's a number of good guards. I think we'll be able to get one in our price range. I kind of like Dylan Parham myself. He's probably trying to get a little higher price point. Maybe we would be willing to go higher for Parham because he's only 26 years old. A lot of these other people are in their 30s. Maybe we don't want to spend a lot if they're in their 30s. But Parham is to like 26. So maybe we can get him. So there's a number of people out there that would fit the need. Hopefully, we're able to nab one. Geno isn't a world beater, but he can be a good bridge for a year. Well, that's not the plan. Again, let's explain the plan again. It's 2 bums and a baby. The bums come in to install the offense, and we pick the baby. This is my theory. Simpson at 16. We take reset 2, Simpson at 16. The point of the bums is to install the offense, keep the baby on the bench for a little while until he's ready. We do the Jackson Dart plan or the Tyler Shuck plan, whichever way you want to look at it. Whenever that rookie is ready, they're coming on in. And the idea is we figure out if we have a franchise quarterback or not this year. We can't wait until next year. We can't punt on this year. That's not happening. Look at the defensive additions we've made. The defense is 1,000 times different now and better, I mean. So this idea that we're just going to bridge and whatever, if we win 2 games, who cares? We're not doing that. This year, I think, and I'll amend my opinion if I change my mind. But right now, it seems to me, this year is about getting the defense fixed and situated and eventually handing off the offense to the rookie whenever that rookie is ready, a la Jackson Dart and Tyler Shuck last year. And you do that because you want to go, ideally, optimistically, into next season knowing, all right, we got our young franchise QB in place. Now we just need to build around him, and then we go from there. And you really can't count on next year's quarterback crop being a bumper crop. It might be, but it might not be. There might be one or two or three. Almost certainly not going to be zero. There could be six. There could be anywhere from two to six. And you have no idea how many are going to be worthy of a high pick. And you have no idea where you're going to end up wins wise. So that whole punt on 26 and wait till 27 idea is not what we're doing, in my opinion. Yeah, Romy the homie didn't make it. Yeah, but he got a huge deal. Look at what the Patriots are doing. Look at what the Patriots are doing. Their theory of team building is just throw tons of money at people. They threw tons of money at Morgan Moses and Stephon Diggs and AVT and now Romy the homie. I mean, all they do is throw these huge bags at people. That's not hard to do. These people are, Mike Vrabel's supposed to be some football genius and some general manager personnel genius. The genius is just make sure you have tons of cap space and just throw tons of money at people. That's not hard to do. Now, they did draft pretty well last year also, and now their line is pretty solidified. But think about it. They're keeping, what's his name, Campbell over there on left tackle because they just signed AVT and they have another guard, Owenu. So now they're keeping the left tackle there. Will Campbell staying at tackle instead of moving to guard, which would have been the smart move with his little T-Rex arms. So maybe he'll be better once the knee heals. Maybe the knee was preventing him from being all he could be last year in the playoffs. And maybe it'll be fine. But maybe it won't be. And also AVT, you're counting on AVT to be who he is when he's healthy, and so far in his career he hasn't been. So that's pretty risky. You threw this whole bag at Stephon Diggs, went 1 year and out of there. So, and Romy the homie, they just gave him $20 million a year, longer term deal, and he's good, but he's not great. They still don't have a wide receiver one. They got a bunch of twos and threes. And the guy that would have been perfect for them would have been Alec Pierce, but he didn't really get to market. So, Drake May is going to have to do it all. So basically, Drake May and Josh Allen have to do everything for their teams. If anything happens to those people, it's over. And Buffalo doesn't even have a quality backup anymore. They signed Kyle Allen. So, Jetty, we need a kicker. Well, we got Leggy Lenny. I think we should take a kicker in the draft. So right now we have a guy named Lenny Krieg, Leggy Lenny. He's a international pathways player. He looked pretty good in training camp for the Falcons, and we picked him up. So he's there. But I think we could also draft someone. There's a kid from Iowa who's supposed to be pretty good. And I think that would be a good use of a 6th round or 7th round pick. Take your kicker then, and hopefully he can stick around, and then you got a guy, for the long term. That would be great. So then we'll have 2 options there. Skipilo. Yes, we're going to add another quarterback. We've been talking about that Skipilo. Philadelphia Eagles are signing former Seattle Seahawks corner Rick Woolen. 1 year deal for up to 15. That's a lot for Rick Woolen. So the Seattle Seahawks are losing a lot of players. The Eagles have lost a lot of players, but now they pick up this cornerback, Rick Woolen. He's kind of been up and down his play. Sometimes he's good, but other times he's bad, Rick Woolen. So that's the latest there. 1 year deal he gets. Hefe. A late round pick swap for Josh Allen was not an option. I don't know how the fans who were upset by Geno were expecting. Yeah, I think probably the people who are upset think Kyler Murray's a good quarterback. There's a small contingent of fans, not small, but probably 30, maybe 35 to 40% of the fans who think that Kyler Murray's a good quarterback because they look at his statistics and they look pretty good. They don't watch the games. They don't understand how he accumulated those statistics. They don't understand that we don't have Cliff Kingsbury here to run the very gimmicky and bullshit offense you have to run to make a 5'8" quarterback have any kind of stats. So they see the highlights and they look at the stats and they're like, this guy's amazing. It's like, no, nope. Now, had one good year, and even that was sort of below average, and that was when everything went right and they ran a very gimmicky offense with Cliff Kingsbury. There's something called the Cliff cycle. People who are members of the inner circle, they know all about the Cliff cycle. And it has to do with Cliff Kingsbury and how his offenses work and how his basically life works. But the inner circle members know all about it. I'm not saying it might be to your benefit to be a member, but I would say probably those who are upset for that reason, because I saw a poll that Dick Chimney ran, and something like 38% of the fans wanted Kyler. Interestingly, Cousins came in second. So, between Kyler and Cousins, those are the fans that are probably upset because they think those were better options. Now, I thought Cousins was a better option as well, but apparently, according to the reporting, there was no interest on Cousins' part to come here. And apparently not much the other way either. So that just was never realistic, even though I thought he would be a better option than Geno. Apparently he just didn't want to come here. So you can't force people. I don't know where these people think they're going to go if they want to start. Where's he going to go? But some people just don't want to come to New Jersey. Need to get Dallas. Well, we're not going to get Dallas's kicker because Brandon Aubrey is the best kicker in the NFL, and they're going to sign him for mega bucks. In fact, and the second best, the Houston Texans kicker just got a nice deal as well. Yeah. Zachetti. Yeah, I think that this is something that the NFL should consider. It add more strategery into the game. Anything that adds more strategic elements into the game, and maybe it'd be 65. Let's see how it works in the UFL first. But I think it's a good idea. Why not? Add a little more excitement. Add a little more strategic decision-making into the game. Do you want to go for that 60-yard field goal that gets you 4 points, or not? I like it. Why not? Swamp Ranger, drafting Simpson at 16 would look like a move of desperation. Yes, it would, but it wouldn't be. And that's the whole point. You can't worry about what something's going to look like. Now, my theory is dependent upon the Jets having the same grade on Simpson and Aller, for that matter, that I and a couple of my trusted scouting buddies have on Simpson. So if you have him rated that high, and that's a big if, we don't know how the Jets are going to rate him. They could be more in line with consensus, because consensus has him in the 30s or something, overall on the big board. But my ratings and a couple of other trusted sources have their ratings a lot higher than that. And as long as you have him that high, and that's your plan, then go ahead and take him. And yes, it will be made fun of. They'll say you're overdrafting him. Oh my God, it's not worth it. Ha ha, Jets, LOL Jets. Yes. Yep. That will happen. But you got to trust your grading system. And if we do, just like last year, I mean, listen, everybody a lot of people laughed at the Giants and the Saints for doing what they did to get Jackson Dart and Tyler Shuck. A lot of people didn't think Shuck should go to the 5th round, 6th round. But they stuck to their guns. They got their guy, and now they think they have their franchise quarterback. How's it looking now? Right? So if the Jets have him graded the way I do, then you go ahead and do it. And you accept the fact that, yes, there will be pundits and idiots and Todd McShithead and this one and that one. Although Todd McShithead came out today or the other day and said he thinks that Ty Simpson is a top 15 player. So now he's a shithead. And he's also he and Ty Simpson both are represented by CAA, so there's a little shadiness there. But nonetheless, he did come out and publicly say that. That's one pundit who's saying he's worth a top 15 pick. We're picking 16th, but that's one guy. Other people are going to say, yeah, you can't do that. You're overdrafting. The Jets have no idea what they're doing. But you got to trust your system. You got to trust your grading system. And think of it this way. We got a bonus first rounder. It's not the only first round pick, so we're getting Arvell Reset too. I'm 99% sure. So that's our first rounder. So just think of it like we got a bonus first round pick. It's a bonus. And with that bonus, we're taking a shot on a young fella. Quarterback, most important position on the whole team. You want to risk it? No. Well, as long as you have that evaluation on him, go ahead and do it. And just be ready for the blowback. That's why one of the reasons why FSPN exists, to give you this kind of perspective. It's not to be lectured to about the 1960s and Fran Tarkenton and what happened with Sid Luckman and what was going on in the 70s with the Mean Joe Green. No, because that's irrelevant. What we need is the modern day perspective of what you should actually do in the modern situation, which is what matters in the current collective bargaining agreement and where we are in history now. Not in the 1960s or the 1840s or what happened in the 1620s. No one cares about that, and that is irrelevant to what is going on today. Swamp Ranger. Thompson. Well, yeah, okay, so this is, if you're watching the games and you don't understand that there's a cause and effect, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Now, is it too many interceptions? Yeah, I agree. That's always been his bugaboo. That's why Geno Smith is not elite. He throws too many picks. But can he keep it to a reasonable amount with a decent offensive line and good weapons? I think it's reasonable to assume he could repeat his 2024 stats. Let's take a look, shall we, Mr. James? Let's take a little. Here's his stats here. I mean, we do like to use stats for some things. And the reality is, this was a bad season. There's no doubt about it. This last year, 2025, bad season. Even in a bad season, he threw for 3,000 yards and a 67% completion percentage. But, yep, he led the league in picks. He also led the league in sacks, which tells you about the offensive line. But in a better environment, could he do this? Right here, 4,300 yards, 21 touchdowns, still too many picks, 15. But would we sign up for a 70.4 completion percentage, 4,300 yard season? Well, since it would be the best season in the history of our franchise, I would think we would. Well, he did that in 2024 with a Seattle team that wasn't dominant. They went 10-7. They had a good team, but not a great one. And the word on the street, according to Connor Hughes, is they really wanted him back, but he wanted more money than they were budgeting for the position, and so they traded him to the Raiders, where Pete Carroll got the job there. I mean, this really isn't that great of a season when you consider the 5.93 Anya. So can he just repeat a 6.0 Anya type season, average net yards per attempt? Seems reasonable that he could, because this is the worst case scenario. I don't think we're going to be do you think we're going to be as bad as the Raiders were last year? I don't. They were a complete and total mess. So I think it's reasonable that he has a 2024 type season, really. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter, as I have told you. Now, if the Jets don't take a baby, then it does matter. To some degree, but we only have Geno for 1 year, so that's another thing that makes my theory sound pretty good. Because we didn't, Like if we found out today or sometime soon that we signed uh, we signed Geno Smith, to a 3-year extension or something, then my theory goes out the window. And then you got to look at Geno and judge Geno and care about all the things about he flipped off the fans and is he going to be this and that, right? Because what I'm saying right now is he's only playing a certain amount of games and then we're handing it off to the rookie and it's all eyes on the rookie. So it doesn't even matter what he does. As long as he gets the offense on the right track, he gets people in the right place, he puts up some decent stats to keep people happy, like Garrett, so Garrett's not a miserable SOB, and things like that. But if you find out we're extending Geno Smith or something like that, then things are different. So, and if we don't take, it's an interesting thought experiment. If we don't take a quarterback high up in this draft at all, and we roll out there with, Geno and Carson Wentz and Bailey Zappi or something, then you really do have to wonder what the hell we're doing. And maybe it is this conventional wisdom of try to do the best you can this year with Geno and then get your quarterback in 27. To me, that's way too risky of a thing to do. You can't control who's coming out in 27. You don't know how these quarterbacks are going to do. You have no idea whether it's a 1 or a 6 or a 10 quarterback draft. And you don't know where you're going to end up. So I don't think we're doing that. Because everything else that Muji and Glenn have done, again, since the end of summertime, when Glenn got his staff together, Muji got his staff together, everything the general manager and front office has done has been smart. There's not been too many stupid things that they've done since that time. And so it would be very strange that all of a sudden, when it comes to the quarterback position, they're going to start doing dumb things. So we'll have to see. But so far, so good. We won't know. And it'll be exciting until day 1 of the draft. And we'll be covering it live here on FSPN, so make sure you're subscribed. And make sure you don't come into the chat room and talking about the 1960s because Frankie will get very angry. Pure adrenaline is here. Will the Jets have to move up from 16? Well, that's an interesting thought that you have here, Mr. Pure Adrenalina. Maybe. Because there's really 2 mild threats to the Jets getting Simpson at 16. One is the Browns at 6. I think that's ridiculous. I don't think they'll take him. I could be wrong. You never know what Andrew Berry's going to do. But right now they have 3 quarterbacks on their roster, and I think they want to have Shador and Deshaun fight it out to be the starter. And hopefully they get a starter out of that in their view. And if not, then they try to hit it for 27. But that's just me thinking logically. I don't know what Andrew Berry's going to do, but that's one mild threat there. The other mild threat is 12, which is the Rams. Now, the Rams, of course, have a quarterback, Stafford, but he's probably not coming back to next year. If he does, it'll be 1 more year. He's at the end. So do they want to take his heir apparent 1 year early? And the reason I doubt that is because they also traded away their other first-round pick, and they need a right tackle very badly. Now, if they sign a right tackle here shortly in the free agency, maybe this changes. They also could use another wide receiver. They also could use, they might, if Jeremiah Love is sitting there, they might be tempted by him, even though they paid some of the, their running back situation. But it's possible that they say, you know what, Simpson's too good to pass up. Let's just take him here. But it's hard for me to believe they're going to take a backup and think long-term when they're in their Super Bowl window. And even if they take somebody really good there that they don't necessarily need, isn't that better when they're in their Super Bowl window? Because that way they have depth for injuries and they're trying to win the Super Bowl right now with Stafford. Like right now, this year. Like this year is their Super Bowl window. So I don't necessarily think they would go ahead and do that. Now, Miami was taken out as a suitor for him because they signed Malik Willis. Then you have the Cardinals. The Cardinals are said to be going with Brissett and Minshew. The Arizona press has said the Cardinals have decided Brissett's going to start and Minshew's going to back him up, and that's what they're doing. But I guess you could say they might take him at 3, but that's I don't know about that. That'd be kind of a waste of resources on their part. They need an impact player. They need impact players on the roster, so I guess they're another mild threat for that. So that's the long answer. The short answer is maybe. Maybe. And if so, that's going to depend on how. I mean, if we have him graded super, super high, then Muji may say, fuck it, let's go to 11 or 10. We got to get this guy. And we should have the ammo to do it if we really, really feel that way about this guy. But I don't know. I have a hard time believing we're going to feel that way about the guy. And also, this is a guy who started 15 games, so there is risk with him. And so these other teams that have other options, do they really want to take that risk on a quarterback while then not being able to take an impact player somewhere else? Whereas for us, we got 2 picks. You know, some of the other teams have 2 picks also, but we're also super needy at quarterback, like right now. I mean, we're less needy with Geno and whoever we get as QB2. But again, Geno's here on a 1-year deal anyways. Rock Yassin is signing with the Lions. Rock Yassin. The Commanders have signed linebacker Leo Chenal, 3-year, $24.75 million. Big defensive addition for Washington. Garrett Wallow is re-signing with the 49ers. That is not a big deal. The Bears are signing defensive end Kentavious Street. That's the latest news. Even Brian Costello is being positive about this Geno thing. Brian Costello. Geno was the best of mediocre to bad options. He just has to give the Jets competent quarterback play. They need to look competent this year. That's the bar. If you're worried about how he looked in 2025, that's valid. If you're hung up on 2013 through 16, get over it. That is a long time ago. So even Brian Costello, famously negative douchebag, is putting out positive tweets about all this. So, Phil, I can't get into the matrix without it's just too much context needed. But the basic idea is that there's four potential franchise quarterbacks. I'm not saying they're all going to be, but there's 4 who have the potential to be. And those are Mendoza, Simpson, Aller, and Cole Payton. So those are the guys you want to take if you're going to take a risk. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to make it, doesn't mean they're definitely going to get it. It's a huge jump from college to pros. And, as we've seen, it's very hard. It's very difficult. The mental side is something you just can't really, it's really hard to figure. So you don't know, but those are the 4 who have the potential to do it. One of them is going to be gone, as we all know. So then that leaves 3. So we'll just have to see. Uh, yeah, keep it simple. Has it good here. Geno the babysitter while our future quarterback grows up. But let's hope so. That's the plan. Now, again, if the Jets don't have those guys rated as high as I think they do based on what they've done here and what they didn't do, which was pursue Carr or Cousins, then I could be wrong. Maybe they don't. And maybe, I don't know what the deal is then because, again, Geno's on a 1-year deal. So if we're not babysitting the quarterback this year and then eventually getting him on the field a la Dart and Chuck, then we're just bridging it to next year, and that's awfully risky. Awfully risky. Ah, Here's a little something. Geno goes to Seattle. Seattle gets Darnold. Geno goes to Vegas. Vegas gets Mendoza. Geno goes to the Jets. Jets will get a quarterback. Jojo, the way Muji's making deals, would not be surprised with him making a couple moves with the first 2 rounds. Well, yeah, that's always possible. Like that 33rd pick is one that could be a move back move, but would have to be, there have to be somebody there that somebody else wants, obviously. But that 33rd pick is really looking like a trade. We need another receiver. Yeah, the good thing about this draft, so one of the reasons we may not be being super aggressive with the wide receivers right now is that you can pick up 2 receivers in this draft easy, 2 good ones. One in the second round, one in the second round, and then one in the 4th round, really, if you really want to go crazy. There's so many of them. It's kind of nutty. So I'm sure that so Josina Anderson is breaking news as of 2 minutes ago. I'm told quarterback Teddy Bridgewater going back to the Detroit Lions per source. That source is probably Teddy Bridgewater. Ian Rappaport confirms Teddy Two Gloves headed back to the Lions. So all the backups now are getting situated in their backup situations. RC, what do you think Jacksonville is asking for from BTJ? We don't know. Hi Karate says, I am not a Geno fan. Gabriel says, Reunited by Peaches and Herb would be a good song for Geno if he's decent. Is that a song that you can sing in a stadium? This is a song for the whole stadium to sing. Reunited and it feels so good. That doesn't really work for a stadium. Country Roads is the best one. Sorry, guys. And you know how I know that? Because they do it in England, and it's awesome. Ask Phil Adams about it. They do it at the American football games. The whole stadium singing together. It's beautiful. Yeah, Nashawn Wright. He's a pick. It's a cornerback that we picked up. RC. Hi, Karate. Is this year over already? We settling on half-ass. So you're being very negative, Hi, Karate. I don't know. You're not buying into the 2 bums and a baby theory, I guess. If you look at this as a 2-year plan, would be great to get quarterback with bonus first round pick in this year's weaker draft, then to have spend capital yeah, this is exactly what I said. And use all 3 first building the team. Yeah, that's the idea. The idea is not, oh, good, Geno's here, he's our future. No, he's just here to help Reich install an offense. That's it. That's all he's doing. I don't know what your problem is, Hi Karate. But you don't have to love Geno. You don't have to love Carson Wentz. I don't like them very much either as quarterbacks. But the point is, we're doing what the Giants did last year and what the Saints did last year. It's a good plan. You have the veterans install the offense, get everything situated, and when the rookie's ready, the rookie comes in. And hopefully you hit on your draft pick and you trusted your evaluation. And hopefully he's the guy. And then you have him going into next offseason when, by the way, $91 million of dead cap, goodbye, see ya, rolls right off into the ocean, splash, goodbye. We're going to have $150 million next year. Look at all these people we got this year. We only had 75 or 80 or whatever it is. Well, look at all these people we added. How many people do you think we're going to add next year? We could blow everyone out of the water for whoever we want. By the way, how about this for a backup plan? Let's say we get Simpson at 16. We do the Frankie plan, and he comes in and he stinks. Oh, boy, what do we do then? Well, Next offseason, you know who could be a free agent? Baker Mayfield. And you know who's going to have a lot of money? Us. So maybe we just give a ton of money to Baker Mayfield. That'd be pretty good. But then again, Tampa might sign him long term. I don't know. But right now, he's scheduled to be a free agent. Why haven't they extended him yet? I don't know. And maybe he wants to get out of there. They're doing all sorts of weird shit in Tampa Bay. They got rid of Mike Evans. They fired Todd Bowles' whole staff, but they kept Todd Bowles for some reason. Todd Bowles hired his son to be on the staff. They're doing a lot of weird shit. And maybe Baker Mayfield's like, what the fuck is going on here? I want to be a free agent. Maybe that could be the backup plan. Throw a boatload of money at Baker, but it's not a great plan either because you don't control if he can become a free agent. You don't control if he wants to come to your team, obviously. However, if we had Garrett Wilson and Adonai Mitchell, and let's say we picked two good receivers up in the draft this year, young ones, and we got four of them now, and then, well, Brees will probably be gone, but, and we got a decent offensive line. We got Mason Taylor. Maybe Baker looks at it and goes, that's not so bad. Especially if we're going to give him all the money. BBA says, thoughts on guards? I think we should get one. So, somebody named Disgusted American is arguing about Geno Smith on X, and Zach Rosenblatt is replying to him for some reason. Block this guy. So yeah, it's a strange day when the fans, a lot of the big percentage of the fans have it wrong, and the beat reporters are trying to make the fans see the positive side of something. That's a strange day indeed. It's weird. It's almost like, I don't know. There's more people who need to understand the two bums and a baby. They're called two bums for a reason. It's not two amazing guys. It's two bums. Like, oh yeah, I did see that. Now keep in mind when you watch these things, Gruden loves these guys. He loved everybody he had last year, including Will Howard, went in the 6th round, So he's going to love up these guys. Their agencies are going to make sure he does that. So you could watch it if you want to, but of course, don't fall in love with it. Sweet Caroline, that's another one. But they also sing Sweet Home Alabama, Phil. They sing all the American tunes, anything with Americana in it, I think. And it's a beautiful thing to witness. I mean, it's awesome. An entire stadium singing Country Roads or Sweet Home Alabama or Sweet Caroline. I mean, this is amazing. Great sing-along tunes, the whole stadium singing as one. It's beautiful. Joe Mike, drafting wide receiver, probably the best cost-saving approach. Yeah, that's probably what they're thinking. Like, hey, we can go get a couple of these guys in the draft for, if they're a second or worse pick, they're El Cheapo. You get them on an El Cheapo deal instead of paying $20 million for Romy the Homie, or some of these the Christian Kirk contract from a couple of years ago, where you just overpay like crazy just to get mediocrity. So I think Muji's playing this smart. It's kind of the same thing he's doing with the guard position. I think he's saying, all right, I'm going to put offers out at $8 million or so, and we'll see who takes it. I mean, he's probably right to do it. And other teams are giving offers 10, 12, higher. But he probably knows he's going to get someone eventually to take the 8, and he's probably going to get the same kind of play at 8 that he'd have to spend for 12 or 14. So then he could take that money and spend it elsewhere, like all these defenders that we're getting, to bulk up finally the defense from the bullshit that we had to deal with last year. Madison, when are we cutting Fields? Why do we got to cut him? Can we trade him? I always want to trade somebody. There's no real reason to cut him. What if we kept him until camp and then maybe some people get injured? Somebody wants a backup quarterback. We can make a trade. Why do we got to cut him? He's not a bad guy. I always want to trade him. I'll trade him for a pepperoni pizza. Yeah, I understand karate, but you're supposed to be a Jet fan. You understand? This is Jet fandom. It's pain. It's pain tolerance. That's what it's teaching you. It's teaching you how to deal with pain, my man. What did you think? You were a fan of the Chiefs or of the Seahawks or some other team? This is the Jets. The hell? Thomas for pick 33. Well, not right now. Because maybe eventually, but what you'd have to do is take it all the way up to the draft, wait until the first day's over, and see what offers you get for that pick. Somebody may be desperate to get X player that slipped out of the first round, and they may be hot and heavy and think, oh my God, that guy slipped out of the first round. We got to get him. They may give you a king's ransom for that pick. You might be able to get BTJ and a bunch of other stuff from that team. So but the real answer is you would have a grade on BTJ, and then you would have a grade on all the players you think are going to be available at 33 wide receivers and all the players. And then you would say, well, if I could get one that's the same, why am I going to make a trade when the rookie one is going to be in our system? We can mold him, and he'll be on an El Cheapo 4-year deal, whereas BTJ is going into year 3, which is going to be more expensive, and you only get him for 2 years. So, or maybe he was a first rounder, so you get him for 3 more years, but still be more expensive. So the answer, as usual, is it depends. But it's something you certainly consider, but you got to wait because that 33rd pick might fetch a king's ransom, or there might be someone there that's so good in such a position of need that you want to take him, you yourself, and you go, that's even better than a BTJ. So all of that has to be weighed into the situation. If they're going to trade him now, it would have to be on the El Cheapo. Well, like maybe a 6th-round pick this year and a 4th-round pick next year, something like that. Like where they're giving him away. And then you go, all right, well, But it's way too early to get into a value like that because we could be sitting on a king's ransom with that 33rd pick or not. It all depends how the first day goes and also how the rest of this free agency period goes as well. So we got about, as Inner Circle members know, because I put this out this morning to them, and if you follow me on X, that's also a good thing to do if you want to learn about this information before anybody else. As of this morning, we had here it is, Jets, 37 million with 64 players on the roster. So we spent a little bit more on Nahshon Wright. So, we got about 30 or so effective cap space. That takes into consideration the draft class. So we still got plenty of money, and we can make more anytime we want. So it's not a problem, as I keep saying. Any other? No. No other news. RC says over the last 4 years, there's been an average of 5 or 6 wide receivers taken in round 1. Who slips today, too? Yeah, and there's going to be good ones available. There's so many. Somebody's going to have to fall out of the first round because there's just way too many of them. I mean, you could probably get a decent one in fourth round or fifth round because there's just so many. It's just a lot of them. Phil Adams, Jet fans want a shiny, sexy sports car, and in their eyes, Geno is just secondhand Honda Civic. But where were we going to get the sexy car, Phil? I mean, if Jet fans really wanted this sexy sports car, where do they think they were going to get it? Like, we went over all the options. Everybody, all the sports writers went over all the options. There are no good ones. But I think too many people don't understand Kyler Murray, for one thing. And then other people don't understand why we couldn't get Carr Cousins like me. But I think it's because we're enacting a strategy. They have a plan. Remember when Diana Rossini said the Jets have a plan, ... stay tuned? I think this is the plan. We're witnessing the plan. What was she talking about? She must have known something. So this is probably the plan. What I call two bums and a baby. They would call it something else, but this is probably the plan. Go get Frank Reich. Go get Bill Moosegravy. Go get Seth Ryan. Go get the Stanford Smarty Pantses, and bulk up the defense with all the money for the most part. Then get your two bums and a baby strategy. Find a guard for $8 million, and then do the two bums and a baby strategy. That was probably the plan, right? I mean, what was she talking about? Is she ever going to reveal the plan to us, or one day maybe after the first round of the draft, when if the Jets take Simpson or something at 16, maybe then she'll put out a tweet saying, "And now the plan has been revealed." Right? Remember that tweet? Yeah, but I think we're setting the price, Surf City. I think the only reason we basically wouldn't have matched the Baltimore offer is because we're setting a price lower than that offer for that position. And I think there's certain positions where we've been aggressive that we really needed the player, like Demario Davis, for example, and even Onyemata for that matter. But I think at guard we're being not frugal, but I think we're sticking to our value, because I think there's so many on the market. Eventually, somebody's going to come in at 8, and we're just going to get the same play for 8 that you would at 12 or 15. But we're just going to have to be a little patient. Yeah, this is the other thing. We're not tanking. Like, AG's not tanking. Look at this defense now. This defense has a chance to be really good. For example, we're not tanking. Not me. I'm a realist. Cousins was my hope. Yeah, I didn't, like I've been saying, I didn't understand. I had my 4 quarterback plan, a strategy, and I thought it was good, but it was based on logic, and it wasn't based on knowing what the Jets were going to do, hearing from the agents or anything like that. So, you know, when you don't have actual information about what the Jets are thinking via the agents know everything. And so, but once that Friday, when I came live, when was it? Last Friday or whenever it was? That reporting had just come out and it came out at basically the same time. It's weird how they sometimes come out at the exact same time, but the reporting from Connor Hughes and Zach Rosenblatt told me, no, they're onto something. The way that they were reporting it, you got to be able to decipher it sometimes. But and then I knew, okay, there's got to be a. Then I tried to figure out why. Why are they doing this? And this is the only way I could figure it out. They must be so high on both Simpson and Aller that they're willing to enact this plan. The two bums and a baby, and they're comfortable with either Simpson or Aller. Which may be the case, but again, that's just my theory. I don't know if that's true or not. But it seems to me that's the most logical thing that you could come up with. Considering what they're doing. I just want to check on something. Hang on a second. Mhm. Mhm. Do, 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 do. Cousins, beat Travis here. For like Simpson X16, I'm concerned about the Cardinals and Rams. Am I crazy? I've been through this a number of times. So the Cardinals, the reporting on them is that they're starting Brissett and backing him up with Gardner Minshew. They signed Minshew. So these teams are mild threats to go for Simpson. They're also picking third. That would be kind of insane considering how much help they need to take Simpson at 3. That's They could do it. Who knows? But I would say it's a mild threat. They seem to be doing a year zero out in the desert and then attack it in 27, with Brissett as the starter and Minshew as the backup. But they could take him at 3. That's very, very high for a guy with 15 games started. Um, the Rams, as I explained earlier, they could. It's a mild threat, but they're in their Super Bowl window with Stafford now. They're probably going to sign Garoppolo back to be the backup and wasting now their only first round pick. They traded their other one on a backup for the future seems kind of ridiculous when they need a right tackle. They need another wide receiver. They could use a running back if Love fell to them. They could make a play there. They could use another linebacker. So they have team needs. It's not like they don't have any needs. And they're in their window now this year with Stafford. They kind of need to put as much elite talent on the roster as they can this year because they're not going to have Stafford beyond this year, most likely. And then next year, you say, well, does that make sense? Because then he's going to be gone. What do you do then? Well, then they could go to Baker Mayfield and say, Baker, you want to play for McVay or Reich? You go McVay. Or any of the best free agents would want to go play for McVay. Basically the top free agent next year, whoever it is, will just go play for McVay. He's going to be a preferred destination for any quarterback. Or they just so they sign, let's say, the best free agent, and they can take one next year if there's this bumper crop. And they could also take guys like Carson Beck, Cade Klubnik, these bums, Garrett Nussmeier. They could take those guys, pair them up with McVay, and if they had to use them, well, they have McVay to get the best out of them. Sort of like the KOC thing. But all that being said, the Rams certainly could take Simpson. The Browns could also take Simpson, though I find that highly unlikely as well. But it could happen at 6. They're also a mild threat to take him. And that's why I say the Jets probably need to be comfortable with either Simpson or Aller. If Simpson goes before them, then they just take the BPA at 16, and then probably you could wait till 33 for Aller, I would think. Taking Aller at 16 would be very crazy. But you could do it. You could just say, fuck it, we like him that much, but I doubt it. So probably then pick 33's Aller, and you're just comfortable with that. But he's going to need more development. He's going to need more time because he's not as refined as Simpson is right now. Jefe, Would you trade up to Washington with 7 to get Styles? No. I would not. And the idea here that's being floated was also floated by Daniel Jeremiah with the idea that the Commanders would want a second round pick because they don't have one. I think the Commanders probably want the elite talent at 7. Remember, there's only going to be maybe 10 players that are true elite blue chip talents here in this draft. So if you're Washington, don't you want to make sure you get one of those? Now, I suppose it depends on somewhat how successful they've been in free agency and filling out their roster. They might want a volume approach, but it seems to me you got to get your blue chip talent. Now, if the Jets want to move up, why don't they just trade with Cincinnati to 10? That gets you above the Rams. Because going 16 to 7 is going to cost you a lot. You can't just give them 44. That's not going to work. I'd have to look at the chart, but it seems to me you're not getting from 16 to 7 with pick 44. No way. But getting to 10, that could work. And the reason Cincinnati would want to do it, they need a lot of help on defense. And so just one blue chipper not going to do it for them. They probably need a bunch of red chippers to put around the guys that they have. They had a terrible, terrible, terrible defense last year. So they need to stock up on draft picks for the defense because they spent all their money on Burrow and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase on the offense. So now they need to get a bunch of young bucks on the defense that are relatively inexpensive. So why not just trade up to 10? Because that might actually get it done, where you could just give them pick 44. They're happy with that. They're going to get who they want at 16 anyway. They get an extra pick, and they need as many really good players as they can get because they're just so deficient on defense. I don't know why. I think a lot of people want us to trade with Washington because Washington doesn't have a second-round pick and because Daniel Jeremiah said that on television. But going from 16 to 7 is much harder than getting to 10. Even 10, you might have to throw something else in it for Cincinnati as well. Madison Keenan. Nashawn Wright, he's a cornerback. That's my thoughts. Basically, Nashawn, let's go to the roster. Shall we? So Nashawn Wright now is here. So basically, this was good because it basically bumped Samuel Womack out of the second string people. That's good because he's a practice squad player. So basically, Nashawn Wright now is going to battle Azareye'h Thomas for this starting job and let the best man win. Oh, this should be Thomas, Azareye'h. Huh. So we added some quality depth, in other words. Either way, whichever way this, whoever wins, then we got a good quality backup. We're only paying Nashawn Wright $3.5 million, which tells me they view him as a backup. The amount of the contract tells you what they view you as. Up to 5.5, but guaranteed 3.3, which is cheap, which means they probably think of him as a backup, but they'll let him battle it out with Azareye'h and let the best man win. I don't think he's going to challenge Brandon Stevens. Brandon Stevens got a $12 million per year contract. They love Brandon Stevens. He's solidified in there. Now, maybe Nashawn Wright is 6'4", so I don't think he can play nickel. I'm pretty sure he can't. Not at 6'4". So he has height. He had 5 interceptions last year, and the joke is he had 5 and the Jets had 0. Ha ha. But so he had good ball production, but that's more a result of the pressure that the Bear defense able to put on quarterbacks than anything else. So So it was a good pickup. It's a value pickup. It increases our depth, which, as you can see here, some of these guys over here that are in blue, they started out before we did all this in the second string. And the blue, these are futures contracts. When you get a futures contract, that means you're pretty much scheduled to be on the practice squad. So to have these guys penciled in the second string when they're really practice squad players, that's very bad. So that's why we're spending all this money. Look at all these new players to the roster in purple here. That's a lot. We got 3, 5, 6, 8 new players on defense, and we may not even be done. I mean, Geno Smith needs to get out of there. He's not a second stringer. He needs a practice squatter. So for example, same thing with Peyton Page. We can't have Peyton Page here. No siree. So that's basically what we've done. We picked up a nice ascending young cornerback who had 5 interceptions. He's 6'4", and he's going to battle Azareye'h Thomas for the starting job next year. Let the best man win. But either way, we get good depth. Either Wright's on the bench, and that's or Thomas. Either way, you need depth, and so that's one of the many things we didn't have last year. So it was a good pickup, especially for the price. But the price tells you what they think of him, and so they currently think of him as a backup, and they'll let him battle it out. But they probably think he's going to lose to his area. Aunt Jets is here. Phil Adams talking about styles. Day's going from pessimistic to optimistic in no time at all. Karate, are you enjoying some spirits? What's going on with you this evening? Could Zippy Zappy? No, Zappy's nothing. Bailey Zappy is nothing. Hopefully Zappy's on the practice squad. Let's just put it that way. No, you really want someone a little better than that to be QB2. And the idea with QB2, it's the same thing the Giants did last year. What did they do? They signed Russell Wilson, and then they signed Jameis Winston. And they did that just in case Russell Wilson got injured. And one of our options comes off the board. Veteran center Luke Fortner signing with the Panthers on a 1-year deal, $4.75 million. So I guess we didn't want him. Man, some of these interior linemen are coming off the board. We got to get our guy. God's sakes, man. I would like Wyatt Teller. I would like Dylan Parham. I would like somebody to get in here. Yep, getting hype. All right. All right, so that's where we are. If anybody would like to give any more history lessons, let me know. But otherwise, last call for comments, questions. We'll probably come back tomorrow because there should be a lot going on tomorrow, I would think, as we wrap up this first few days. We should probably know tomorrow who QB2 is going to be. More than likely Wentz. And I would think we probably wouldn't. I mean, some more and more of these linemen are coming off the board. So we'll see. I mean, now the beat reporters did say the Jets are actively in the market for this guard. It's not like, and they're saying they're monitoring the trade market for wide receiver. So that would lead you to believe they have offers out to people. As far as the offensive line is concerned. And these guys have been right. I mean, they got the Geno story right, even when Dick Chimney said he didn't believe it. I mean, both Zach and Connor Hughes came out with this story about Geno Smith and it being a real possibility. And Dick Chimney came out and said, look, I respect their reporting. They're good reporters, but I have a hard time believing it, which is kind of interesting. It tells you who the real hustlers are, and as far as the beat writers go. But it turned out to be true. So it's not, they didn't get everything right. No one ever does, but on this, they were correct. And then the secondary thing they're saying is once the Jets sort of put the QB1 to bed, they were going to focus on QB2, and QB2 was going to be Wentz, most likely. So we shall see. Gabriel says, I think the Jets will take Simpson at 16 if he's there, but if not, they do not take a swing for a quarterback until round 4. That's possible. That's possible. That's why I said grab a damn guard. Yeah, worst comes to worst, we could always take Ione Vega at 16. I mean, problem with that is you've got a lot of capital then on the offensive line. I mean, but he's a hell of a player though. But that's why we'll grab somebody, Surf. We'll grab somebody. There's still plenty on the board. I'm getting a little worried, but not too worried. We'll sign someone. I mean, if we're sitting here tomorrow and I'm live on the air and we still haven't signed someone, then we might have an issue. And if it's an issue, then at 16 it's going to be Ione Vega. So what? I mean, it's not optimal. And then we just hope, for example, that Simpson falls to 33, and then we take him there. Problem solved. Bialy says, Geno going to take us to the promised land. Yeah, I think we should start calling him Oneg. What if we reversed his name and we called him Oneg to reverse the way he played the first time when he was a Jet? So he's not Geno anymore. What if he's Oneg? What about that? You got to use your noodle, right? If everything you've done your whole life was wrong, then doing the opposite, by definition, must be right. And with that being said, we'll conclude this evening's festivities. Thank you for joining. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. That's free. Right down there, subscribe button, totally free. Helps us keep the show the way it is without interference from corporate America. And if you want to go a little bit extra, you could join the Inner Circle for $2 a month. Get exclusive items, hang out with such luminaries as Harry W., Swamp Thing, and Alan Dodds and others. And $2 a day, you get exclusive information nobody ever gets anywhere else. And it's just wonderful information that'll keep you ahead of the game and knowing what's really going on. With that being said, we'll come back tomorrow to wrap everything up on Free Agency Frenzy. And remember, let's not have any lessons from the 1960s football, because then Frankie will get very upset, and we don't want Frankie